That's just one of them right there, but we'll get back to that one in a second. Thousands of people, tens of thousands of people would argue with you that the C6 Grand Sport is the best sports car for the money. And would you argue with tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people? I mean, you could argue with them, but you'd be wrong. And I'm going to tell you why in this video. Because, of course, the C6 Grand Sport is literally the best sports car you can get for the money today. Let's start off by talking about aesthetics, shall we? The C6 Grand Sport is the epitome of Corvette design, in my opinion. It's arguably, the Grand Sport, the C6 Grand Sport is arguably the best looking Corvette ever made. Classic Corvette styling, sleek, low, long swooping hood, you know, nice tail end finish with the hatch. The Grand Sport with the wide body, of course, the 5-spoke wheels, the big brakes. I mean, this all plays into performance, but it is certainly part of its aesthetic appeal as well. The louvered fenders, the target top, and it's fat. And honestly, the interior is exactly what a sports car should be, in my opinion, personally. Simple, basic, you know, not a lot of frills, no need for a bunch of bells and whistles, just the essentials. And of course, beautiful, sporty seats. They certainly could be a little bit better. A lot of people will state that they just don't support you as well as they should, and I would agree with that opinion. Just a little bit more bolstering here and in the lumbar area, I think, would go a long way in these Corvette seats. But the leather is supple. They do hold you in nice. They're nice and cushy and comfortable, which really adds to my assessment that the C6 Corvette is the best sports car for the money, because you can be comfortable driving this car over a long distance. And what better characteristic for a sports car than the ability to track the car but also drive it home afterward? Of course, any good sports car is going to just make you look back at it as you walk away. Oh my God. Another thing that Chevrolet has done very well with the design of the Corvette over the years is give it a nice combination of like sleekness and speed as well as aggressiveness. Of course, Corvette has that sleek styling, right? It looks fast sitting still, just the body lines, the aerodynamics of the car, the low stance, the long pointy nose, the sleekness of the roofline. It looks fast, but from certain angles, particularly the Grand Sport or like the ZR1 or the Z06, it looks mean and aggressive as well. On the other hand, though, you can look at certain other cars like Porsches and Ferraris, and of course we know they're super high performance vehicles, but they just look fast. They don't necessarily look aggressive. And you can look at the Mustangs or the Hellcats, and maybe on the surface they don't look fast. The Hellcat, for example, just looks big and beefy. It looks mean, it looks aggressive, but you don't look at it necessarily and think, wow, that's a fast car. I know we're heavy on the styling part of it, but that's what I really like about the Corvette. It's aggressive from a number of different angles, but it looks sleek and fast and nimble. Let's talk about the performance stuff. Now, that's what really makes this car an incredible value. Something like 33 or 3,400 pounds only, sits nice and low with a very, very low center of gravity, and of course the fat tires. People knock the leaf spring suspension, but actually it's a fantastic idea. It allows to keep the overall weight of the car very, very low. It sort of acts as a bolster to the sway bars as well, with how the leaf spring works running across the chassis of the vehicle. The LS3, of course, is a solid power plant that has established a reputation of durability, longevity, and of course horsepower. Takes modifications really well, quite easy to make 450 horsepower or so and get up at that same torque range. Not too bad to get you well above 500 either. It handles forced induction quite well. Hard to beat a cammed LS3 too. I mean, just the chop. Oh God. Grand Sport big brakes, need them, absolutely need them. Drilled rotors, just those big old calipers, it makes the car handle quite well. And of course, guys, remember this thing is literally, 3,400 pounds. Lots of power and torque, light chassis, need the big brakes. Although the automatic Grand Sports, nothing to sneeze at, but the fact that the 6-speed Grand Sports come with the dry sump setup allows the car to sit even lower. and of course prevents oil starvation in those tight corners. So you're really maximizing performance of the vehicle without sacrificing sort of the health of the engine, right? Now, that's not to say that there aren't any shortcomings with the platform, because obviously there are, and that might be a video for another time and place. But for the overall value of this car, it's very, very hard to beat. I mean, nowadays, early 2023, we're seeing some of the prices start to sort of level off and even come down at this point. Of course, we're in the middle of winter in most of the country, so values are a little bit lower than normal. But you could pick up a 6-speed Grand Sport with 50,000 miles or so for $30,000, mid-30s if you're going from a dealership, maybe slightly less from a private party sale. I mean, you could technically get a newer Mustang with a 10-speed automatic transmission, for example, in this price point, but it's not going to compete with this Corvette, which is 10 years older at this point in a number of different driving scenarios. I mean, I'd much rather take this car to Tail of the Dragon, for example, than a new Mustang. It would be night and day on that road. If you're looking at Porsches, for example, in this same price point, you're looking at 996s, which are several years older than the newest or newer C6s. And you're limited in terms of power. You're making substantially less power. Of course, it's a Porsche. It's a driver's machine. Small, nimble, of course, great handling car. I love Porsches. I love 996s. But if you're looking for an overall package, I think the Corvette is better in a lot of ways. You can really see just how good the C6 is in terms of performance, with a 0 to 60 time of like 4 seconds or just over 4 seconds, with a quarter-mile time in the mid to low 12s. It's pretty impressive. If you're talking about the Porsche 996, it's like a 5-second 0 to 60, and you're well into the 13-second range for the quarter mile. Now, you could argue that you should compare it to the 911 Turbo, for example, but that's, of course, has a comparable 0 to 60 time and a pretty darn quick quarter-mile time as well. But you're in the $50,000-$60,000 plus range for that car, and it's 10 years older than the C6. So you really can't see how impressive that C6 is at the $30,000 range. Pretty cool. You could literally get a C6 Grand Sport and leave it completely stock and be totally satisfied. I mean, the amount of power that this thing makes, the amount of torque that it makes low end, its comfortability, its capabilities on the road and on the track are just, I mean, it's really, really hard to beat at this price point. You throw on a nice set of tires and even just upgrade the suspension, $1,500, $2,000 on a set of nice coilovers. It's an incredible car, and it's just so fun to drive. Another thing that I really like about the Corvette is the gearing. Some people might not like it. I really enjoy it, especially coming from cars with less power and shorter gear ratios. First gear in the Corvette is like 50 miles an hour, 50 plus mile an hour before you got to shift. I love that. First of all, I love it because you make enough power, enough torque to have a long first gear like that, but it keeps you in the power band. You're not required to shift quite so fast and therefore lose momentum as you accelerate. Coming from a 350Z, for example, I'm shifting into second gear at 20 mile an hour and it's killing momentum right away. Whereas this, you can really wind out first gear, get your momentum going, and then be in second gear and still be in that nice power band, in a good RPM range to continue accelerating at a speedy rate. But then, of course, you have 6 speeds and you can cruise on the highway and still get decent mileage. So again, it just checks a lot of boxes. Fantastic acceleration, a beautiful exhaust note, a lot of capabilities in terms of performance upgrades for this thing. You can daily drive it if you want to. It's comfortable, it's sleek, it's beautiful looking. It's an excellent combination of both aggression and sophistication, sleekness, speed, beauty. It's great. For the dollar amount these days for the C6 Grand Sport, you're just not going to find many vehicles at all that can compete with it. And this is why I say the C6 Corvette Grand Sport is the best money, dollar for dollar, in 2023. It's been the best car for the money for a number of years, but even today in 2023, 13 years after its inception, the C6 Grand Sport is the best car for the money. No doubt in my mind, but I'm always curious to hear what you guys got to say. Let me know in the comments below if I'm right or if I'm wrong, or if you got a different car in mind. I want to hear it. I want to hear what you got to say. So thank you guys very much for watching. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. I appreciate the continued support. More stuff coming for the channel. I hope you guys will follow along. Again, thanks for watching this one. See you in the next one.